I will talk today about indeed EUSAGE, so European Sustainable Agriculture through Genome Editing Network. As I said, I was raised in Poland, but I did my PhD in Ghent, in Belgium, and I work still in Belgium. So this is the picture of the Green Biotech Valley in Ghent, where we have almost 4,000 professionals working on scientists. We have also some startups there, as well as public research centers, university labs, and so forth. So the building that you can see in blue, that's the building that I'm working in. So just a small question, did you know that there are already more than 500, actually now 600 different genome editing applications in crops published in peer-reviewed journals? I will come back to that. I will just leave this question in the air for the moment. And I would like to come back to the topic of the Green Deal that was already Petra mentioned. So there was a big discussion actually whether to include the new genomic techniques and innovation in the Green Deal. And while it was forming the Farm to Fork strategy, there was a sentence there saying that the new innovative techniques may play a role in increasing sustainability, and that the European Commission is carrying on a study to actually check whether these new genomic techniques can play a role in increasing the sustainability. And actually the scientists say yes, of course it can. And as you've already heard, the ruling in 2018 of the European Court of Justice brought a lot of concerns also in the scientific world. And later, Professor Dirk Kinsey, who is the science director of the institute where I am working in, he came up with the position paper, which many scientists actually followed, and many scientists signed this paper. And it was basically with the main message that regulating genome-edited organisms in the same way as the GMOs, it will bring serious repercussions. So I would like to show you also in a timeline how it developed. After actually releasing the position paper by our institute, more and more scientists were joining the network, and more scientists were saying like, well, let's do something about it. It cannot be this way. So in the end, we've launched in 2020 the official EUSAGE network, and we became a legal entity. So we have basically three main goals in our activities, which is to represent the scientists working on genome editing in Europe. We also advocate for the potential of genome editing for the sustainable agriculture, and we facilitate science-based policy making. Here, well, you can find this information also on our website. We have already many members from different European countries. Also, as Petra mentioned, we also have members, for example, from Turkey. So we consider it more as the larger part. We have also members from the UK, but we think that altogether we are, let's say, facing the same problem concerning the transport, for example, of the goods and so forth. So I just wanted to mention that actually in Romania, we do not have really members. So I would like to warmly welcome you in the network. It's very easy to join. You can basically enter our website, and here via this link you can join the network. So I really urge the Romanian scientists to join. It's free of charge. It increases the visibility of our activities as scientists in front of the European Commission, in front of the European Parliament, saying that, well, we are not representing just one institute or one particular idea. We are all actually claiming that genome editing has the potential and can be one of the tools in solving the problems that we are currently facing. Așa că vă rog, sunteți invitați. In the meantime, the policy aim developed within the years, and currently we stand for the differentiated regulatory framework for genome-edited plants with DNA changes that could have also occurred naturally or through conventional breeding. So on this slide, I tried to present, at least in a more simplified way, what we call the point mutations or small genetic changes, and those bigger genetic changes, which are long DNA sequences which can be inserted in the genome of the plant, for example. So as you can see, the long DNA sequences that we insert and inserting transgenes, this undergoes in the GMO definition. While in genome editing, the most of the applications, not all of them, but the most of them, are these small genetic changes. So the point mutations, insertions, substitutions, deletions. And here we talk in the scientific language about the SDN1 and SDN2 changes. So the map was already shown by Petra. There is currently no differentiated approach in Europe for these organisms. And again, you can see in the countries indicated in green, some genome-edited crops are not regulated as GMOs. In countries indicated in yellow, the discussion is ongoing, while in red, the genome-edited crops are regulated as GMOs. So recently, because of the work of the European Commission, here in the European Union, we also have discussions on having this differentiated approach. And here, the role of the member states, of the Romanian politicians, of the Romanian members of the European Parliament, of Romania as a member state, has a very big value in voting for this kind of differentiated approach. So, showing the policy developments throughout the years, it started with the ruling and then many different stakeholders expressing their concerns about the outcome of this ruling. And in 2019, the European Council requested the European Commission to perform a study on new genomic techniques. And in 2020, we have launched our network, and we also contributed to the study as the stakeholder from the scientific point of view, and we provided the information. That's why we have our network, and we ask you as members to contribute, to give us some scientific input, and to provide it to the Commission in this kind of cases. And in 2021, the Commission published a study on new genomic techniques. And they mentioned that they could work on a proposal for some of the genome-edited crops, that they would make a policy proposal for a legislative change. So this study, I will not go very much in detail, but there were many stakeholders who contributed to this study. There were the member states that contributed. There were the stakeholders such as EUSAGE, but also NGOs, the industry, and so forth. And also the other organizations such as EFSA, GRC, Group of Chief Scientific Advisors, European Group of Ethics, who actually this time gave a very positive remarks on genome-edited organisms. So we were expecting a more restrictive opinion, but they were very well supporting this new legislative proposal as well. So there were many outcomes of this study, but what I find very important is that the Commission actually confirmed that each and every genome-edited plant is a GMO in the light of law. However, they are proposing a policy actions for crops derived from targeted mutagenesis and cisgenesis. So they are open for this differentiated approach. And there was also a study performed by the GRC where they mentioned that in that time, by 2030, a significant amount of NGTs is expected to be on the market. So currently there are only 2 products on the market, genome-edited products. This is the high oleic soybean, which is in the US, and the tomato, which can help reduce the blood pressure. So these 2 products are with health benefits. So we receive a lot of criticism, like, what is it all about? Why do you talk about these genome-edited crops, genome-edited products, if there are only 2 on the market? Like, what is the relevance of it? Why to increase the sustainability with these 2 products? So, well, we know that scientists all around Europe, all around the world, are working with genome editing right now with CRISPR. And we wanted to visualize it for the policymakers. And for that, we created Oh, sorry, there's still some history in between. So we've contributed to the... All right, so there was this legislative proposal coming up by the Commission, and it's still ongoing. That's why we are still discussing. We are still contributing with different targeted questionnaires coming from the Commission from different sides. And we contributed to that as well. And it's very important, as I mentioned before, to interact with the members of the European Parliament and with the member states, because they will be voting on that proposal, which will hopefully come in Q3 of 2023. So it's very important that this proposal comes in time before the European elections, and that it's voted positively once it's there. So about the database that I was saying, so we created this interactive database. You can find it on our website, on the EUSAGE website. And currently we have more than 600 actually examples of genome-edited crops. So that's why there was this question from me in the beginning of the presentation, that these are not only those two products that are on the market, but there are many more to come. And the scientists are working right now throughout the world on those 600 different crops with different traits. If you enter to our website, you can choose the traits, the categories. You can select also what kind of change has been done. Was it an SDN 1, 2, or 3, and so forth. So, as I said, it's based only on the literature study. No patents were screened, and also no model plants were screened. So no Arabidopsis thaliana examples are in this database. Only the relevant crops, relevant examples are in the database. So just few outcomes of the database. You can see that the most examples we have in rice, not surprisingly, because China is leading in genome editing as well as the US. But we have also very many examples on the tomato, followed by maize, soybean, wheat, and so forth. But what is important, there are 63 different crops. So not only these ones, these are we can present on the graph here, but there are 63 different crops that we have examples of genome editing. And if you look at the traits, what is also very interesting, there is the improved food and feed quality on the same place and as the plant yield and growth, and which is followed by the biotic stress tolerance. So by showing these traits, I think it's clear that these traits are important for the consumers as well as for the farmers. And what have we seen within the old database? We've looked at this kind of changes. Are these the small genetic changes or big genetic changes? So in 98%, these are the small genetic changes that we are talking about. And also the representation of the countries. So we have the most research in China and the US. Well, we can say the EU is lagging behind with the research, but also, well, it will never be as big as in China and the US. So I think we are on a very good level of science in Europe. And the thing is that this research has to be enabled further. And as scientists, that we can perform, for example, field trials without all the administrative burden. And as I mentioned, well, now we have 63 different crops in the database. These traits are important, relevant for farmers and the consumers. The majority are the small genetic changes. And we claim that these applications in the database demonstrate that genome editing can contribute to the Green Deal and Farm to Fork strategy. And well, as you know, in the UK there are already simplified regulations, for example, for the field trials. And in UK, the scientists, they informed about the field trial that they would like to perform on a genome-edited tomato with increased vitamin D, and they can already perform it. That was immediately accepted. So we are hoping that within the whole European Union, the scientists will be able to put these results in the field and see the real results and go further on the market. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer your questions also during the coffee break in Romanian.